Okay, let's really dig into this. The material you sent over, it paints a picture that's, well, it's not just alarming, is it? It's fundamentally unsettling.
It really is. We're talking about a new kind of disappearance here.
Exactly. It started subtly, didn't it? Back in early 2023. Remember all that news about the bee colonies collapsing, especially across the Midwest?
Oh, yeah. Vaguely.
The really eerie part wasn't just, that they were dying. It was the vanishing, just gone.
Right. No piles of dead bees, which you'd expect, just empty hives. Poof.
It's a stark reminder, isn't it? How our scientific frameworks, they're built on what we already know.
Totally. The way everyone initially jumped to pesticides or pollution,
Yeah.
the usual suspects.
Yeah, filtering new stuff through old lenses, even when the scale is just screaming, this is different.
Well, when you look back at those initial reports, you see the scientific community scrambling, trying to fit it into existing boxes.
But it just didn't fit.
No. Your sources detail how the scale was just wrong. These weren't small, localized die-offs. They were huge, regional, almost overnight disappearances.
And then it wasn't just the bees.
No. Then the oceans started showing these similar anomalies. Massive, unexplained drops in plankton.
The very base of the food chain. Critical stuff.
Absolutely critical. Huge stretches of ocean suddenly becoming, like, biologically barren. And again, overfishing, pollution.
Yeah.
They just couldn't explain the sheer scope of it.
It really did feel like something essential was being, well, taken, siphoned off.
Taken, yeah. That's the word that kept coming up, wasn't it?
It was. And if you connect those dots, you start seeing this really troubling trend.
Isolated incidents, maybe.
Right. Things that on their own look like, oh, more environmental bad news, but you put them together.
And it whispers something else, something systemic, something outside our usual understanding.
Totally. And by spring 2024, it wasn't just the tiny stuff feeling the pinch. Things got weirder, more overt.
Like the magnetic field fluctuations.
Exactly. Earth's magnetic field started going haywire in ways that didn't match normal geomagnetic activity at all.
And the solar panels, too, right?
Yeah.
Globally.
Yeah. Just underperforming, generating way less power than they should have been. No explanation.
And people reporting the air felt thinner? That's a weird one.
It sounds almost psychological, but it was apparently a consistent report. Plus, geologists were picking up more shakes, more tectonic activity.
Like the whole planet was under some kind of immense strain internally.
And behind the scenes, you had this small group, scientists, intel analysts, starting to whisper this one terrifying word.
Extraction.
Extraction. But extraction of what? And by what? I mean, reading through this stuff, that's the question that just gnaws at you.
It really highlights the limits of our standard models, doesn't it? When you have all these different things happening across totally different systems.
Yeah, it points to a common cause, but one we don't even have the language for.
And the fact that the initial consensus extraction was so hushed up, it says a lot. They knew how big this could be. Didn't want panic without answers.
Which brings us to Dr. Marcus Anwar. Just picture this guy, right? Sifting through satellite data.
Magnetometry data, yeah. Probably expecting just noise.
Exactly. And instead, boom, this incredibly precise repeating pattern, symmetrical pulses.
Radiating from the Pacific Rim.
Every 17 minutes, like clockwork.
That kind of consistency, that's almost never natural, is it?
Yeah.
And definitely not any known human tech out there.
No way. What's really fascinating is just how regular it was. That precision screams intention, not random chance.
And you layer on the next finding, these localized drops in mineral density, right where the pulses were focused.
Subtle, maybe easy to miss on its own.
But linked to the magnetic pulses, it becomes pretty compelling evidence. Something was being removed, taken from the Earth crust.
Like a slow, deliberate mining operation. But on a scale we just couldn't wrap our heads around at first. Like a needle, maybe. Just piercing the planet again and again, silently drawing something out.
And Anwar's findings, obviously they didn't stay secret. He got pulled into this clandestine group, Project Linus.
Right. Talk about a shadow brain trust. Scientists, intel types, ex-military.
The kind of people who know how to connect disparate dots.
And they'd apparently been collecting weird stuff for years, right? Things everyone else dismissed.
Exactly. Fleeting gravity glitches, like you mentioned. Statistical anomalies, like atoms just missing from lab samples. Unexplained weaknesses in bridges, buildings, stuff that should have been solid.
Glitches, errors, noise. That's what everyone else called it.
But Linus saw a pattern, or suspected one.
It's understandable why you dismiss that stuff initially, though. Science likes things you can repeat, things that are statistically significant. Anomalies get swept under the rug.
Especially when they hint at something so out there. And the fear of panic if you go public too soon, that's a powerful reason to stay quiet.
Definitely. But the fact Lennon S was collecting it all, that speaks volumes about what they suspected might be happening.
And their hypothesis, I mean, it must have sounded like pure sci-fi even to them at first.
An alien race, but not like in the movies, right? No invasion fleet.
No, something way more insidious, silent, invisible, siphoning off Earth's resources without us having a clue.
It totally reframes the whole alien threat idea, doesn't it? Not a bang, but a long, slow drain.
The thought that something that huge could be happening right under our noses and we just don't see it. It's deeply unsettling.
It really forces you to rethink our place, you know? We think we're top dog on this planet.
And the idea that something else could be here, operating, manipulating things on a fundamental level without us knowing. It shatters that whole anthropocentric view.
And the undetectable part is key. How do you fight something you can't even see, can't track?
Well, Lennon S. gave him a name. The Harvesters.
Rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? And these things, they weren't just invisible to us.
No. Invisible to the naked eye, sure, but also slipping through reality like ghosts. Radar, LiDAR, all our best tech. Useless. The signals just pass right through.
And they move through solid rock, through the deep ocean, like shadows, like we move through air.
It pushes the boundaries of physics, biology, everything. It suggests they interact with space-time itself in a completely different way.
So it's not just super advanced tech, it's a different kind of existence.
Seems like it. Which makes you question, what is reality?
And Elena Rivera, the ex-CIA analyst coordinating Lennon S., her explanation is chilling.
About what they were actually taking.
Yeah. Not just gold or water or whatever, but the actual bonds between molecules, atomic cohesion, mass itself.
With some suspected quantum-level conversion and transport, the technology beyond comprehension. Imagine deconstructing matter at the quantum level and just beaming it away.
It's like they have a universal converter for matter. Break anything down, send it anywhere. Which leads to the obvious question, how? How does that go unnoticed?
In Rivera's theory, mind-bending stuff. They exist half a dimension out of phase.
Quantum ghosts. That was the term, right?
Yeah. Not fully in our dimension, but not fully out either. Like a blurry photo, not quite in focus.
So they could interact, take stuff, take mass, but remain effectively invisible to our sensors because they weren't fully here.
It's a way to explain the elusiveness, borrowing from theoretical physics. It allows interaction without being subject to our physical laws of detection. A fundamentally different relationship with space-time.
So the massive challenge then becomes, how do you even see something like that? Something lurking in the gaps between dimensions.
Enter the Spectral Convergence Array Mark I, codename.
The Lantern.
Sounds like something out of a novel, seriously.
Yeah.
A big sphere pulsing with, what was it? Neutrino-laced tachyons.
Exotic stuff across multiple dimensional frequencies. The idea wasn't to attack them, not yet. It was just to make them visible.
Like shining a really weird flashlight into the shadows, trying to find particles that might interact with whatever dimension they were hiding in? Exactly. It wasn't a weapon. It was proof of concept. A desperate shot at making the imperceptible perceptible. Using the fringes of theoretical physics because, well, what else did they have?
And they tested it in the Arctic Circle, an area showing signs of that weird resource depletion.
2:17 a.m. The lantern pulses.
And bam, they see it. Something that just defies biology, defies physics as we know it.
Huge. Insectoid, but not really. Materializing out of the ice.
And it wasn't walking or flying, was it? It was surrounded by this shimmer, bent light.
Yeah, like it was warping space around itself to move, gliding between dimensions, not through our space. And the form. Totally alien. No eyes, no mouth, nothing recognizable.
Deliberately unsettling description in the sources emphasizes how different these things were, cloaked in bent light, visually showing that partial phasing.
But here's the terrifying part. It knew. It sensed the lantern. It wasn't just passive. It reacted.
And gone. Vanished in an instant.
And at the same moment, all the sensors at the Lennon S outpost just died. Silence.
Hours later, the retrieval team gets there, finds what? Ash.
Fine ash. And these bizarre, scorched footprints, fused right into the metal of the equipment. Nothing else.
So the lantern worked. It revealed them. But the price? Immediate, devastating.
Shows you the danger, right? Poke the bear, and the bear reacts. Violently. And highlights their potential to retaliate. We were vulnerable.
But even after that, Lennon S knew they couldn't stop. They had to know more.
So by fall 2024, they roll out more lanterns. Globally. Critical spots, Congo Basin, Andes, Rihanna's Trench.
Places where resources were mysteriously disappearing.
And the sightings become consistent, almost routine, in a terrifying way.
Huh.
But then they start seeing patterns.
Patterns. Linked to what?
Lunar tides, Earth's magnetic field shifts, even periods of low solar activity. The harvester activity seemed correlated.
Which suggests this wasn't new.
Exactly. This suggests they'd been doing this unnoticed for potentially millennia, understanding Earth's cycles working around them.
Like termites hollowing out a building from the inside, undetected for years.
Wow. And then came Elena Rivera's big realization, the one that changed everything.
They're not killing the planet.
They're farming it. Chilling, isn't it?
Completely reframes it. Not smash and grab, but long-term exploitation. Sustainable harvesting for them.
It implies management, control, keeping the farm productive, a level of manipulation far beyond just taking stuff.
And the lanterns are a big idea to see them. That backfired too, didn't it?
Big time. It was like ringing a dinner bell. Or maybe just an alarm bell. They knew we could see them now.
And the lantern stations started going dark, one by one. Wiped out.
They were adapting, fast, showing they were intelligent, responsive. Our first move just alerted them.
So, detection wasn't enough. They needed to fight back, neutralize the threat.
Which led to the Prism. Super classified. Hidden deep under that glacier in Iceland, miracle.
And this wasn't like a missile or a bomb.
No, this was designed to mess with reality itself. Folded space compression, creating a disruption in the quantum substrate.
Basically popping a dimensional bubble around them, trying to hit them where they lived, dimensionally speaking.
It's a huge escalation, moving from looking to fighting, using their own theoretical physics against them or trying to.
So how do you test something like that? You need a target.
They set a trap. Patagonia, rich in lithium, a place they'd hit before, used an activated lantern as bait.
Like putting cheese in a mouse trap.
Pretty much. And sure enough, the tremors start. The signs of a harvester arriving.
And then it emerges.
Yeah.
Colossal thing, right? Taller than skyscrapers.
Huge, shadowy, flickering in and out of phase as it just starts pulling mass out of the mountainside, casually.
Terrifying image. Just dismantling our planet like it's nothing. Reinforces that power imbalance.
That's why, Bill. They fire the prism.
What happened? A big bang.
Blinding light, yeah. Brighter than anything natural. And the creature. It didn't make a sound we could hear, but this wave of force. A silent scream.
Silent but powerful.
Powerful enough to warp the air, crack mountains miles away, boil rivers. Just immense energy release. And then silence. It stopped. The harvester was gone. Seemed like a success.
Seemed like. But the impact, the environmental damage even from the weapon itself sounds huge.
Oh, definitely. Shows the risks of fighting fire with this kind of dimensional fire. But the real shock came next.
Nobody.
No body, no wreckage, nothing. Instead, where the harvester was, there was a gate.
A gate, like a doorway.
A tear in space-time. Visible, shimmering, pulsing, like they hadn't just killed it, they'd torn a hole between dimensions. Open a door.
Oh, no.
Yes, and through that door came the flood. They didn't stop one, they invited the rest.
So the test, the weapon, it triggered a full-scale invasion.
Pretty much. Classic unintended consequence. Within days, harvesters were pouring through dozens, hundreds, thousands.
Earth wasn't a secret farm anymore.
It was an open battleground. They swarmed uninhabited areas. Extraction went into hyperdrive.
Yeah.
But interestingly...
They avoided the cities at first.
Yeah. Selective avoidance. Why? Still unknown. Maybe avoid direct confrontation. Focus on resources. Who knows? Chilling either way.
Meanwhile, the UN is in denial.
Pretty much. Overwhelmed, couldn't process it. But LANS knew it was real. They went public.
Released everything. The data, the images, the Patagonia footage.
Everything. And the reaction was predictable, sadly.
Panic. Disbelief.
Riots. Global chaos. Militias forming. Extremists calling for appeasement, trying to negotiate. And, of course, every nation scrambling to build their own prisms.
What a mess. Division and fear just when unity was needed.
So Elena Rivera, facing this utter chaos, potential extinction, she comes up with one last desperate gamble.
If their advantage is being partly invisible, partly out of phase,
then force them all the way in. Make them fully part of our reality. Strip away that dimensional ambiguity.
No.
The beacon towers. Huge hybrid devices. Combine the lantern's continuous pulse with the prism's destabilizing power. Everywhere.
The cost must have been insane.
Staggering. Power grids collapsed. Infrastructure failed globally to feed these things. But it worked.
It forced them into our dimension, fully visible.
Fully visible. Fully present. And therefore, theoretically, killable. A desperate move, sacrificing everything for a chance to level the playing field.
And suddenly, the fight changes. Skies over Iceland, Siberia, Patagonia become these insane battlefields.
Yeah, light and shadow, prism flashes hitting these now solid, visible harvester shapes, and their shrieks causing physical shockwaves. Devastation.
Humanity fighting back, finally, but just barely holding on.
It was a last-ditch effort by all accounts. But then, amidst the chaos, a breakthrough. Small, almost unbelievable.
Doubtrig one.
A dying one. Wounded, flickering between dimensions. They managed to contain it somehow.
Yeah.
And then tried to communicate.
Communicate how?
Quantum linguistics.
Right.
Highly experimental. Not words, apparently. More like vibrations of feeling. Pure concepts being transmitted.
And what did it say? Or convey?
Something completely unexpected and deeply disturbing.
Okay.
It conveyed that their world was dying, that Earth was fertile, abundant, that their taking resources was just natural balance, migration for survival.
Okay, survival instinct may be understandable in some level, but...
But then the twist. It claimed they were actively preserving humanity, managing us.
But preserving us...
By harvesting gradually,
Yeah.
preventing us from wiping ourselves out with nukes, or ecological collapse, or climate change running wild.
Wait, what? They saw themselves as custodians, gardeners, preventing our own self-destruction. That's twisted.
It totally flips the script, right?
Yeah.
Invaders as reluctant managers. And all that progress we thought we were making. Stabilizing emissions slightly, oceans getting a bit healthier, some bees coming back.
That wasn't us.
According to the harvester? No, that was them. Managing the greenhouse. Keeping Earth stable enough for their long-term harvest.
We were livestock in a carefully managed planetary greenhouse.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's incredibly
Undermines everything.
So Leonard S. hears this. Realizes that a civilization that spans stars manages planets. They're not just going to pack up and leave because we put up a fight.
Resistance is futile, basically, in the long run.
They wouldn't tolerate losing such a valuable asset. So one final act, the most desperate of all, the final pulse.
Another weapon.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
A massive stationary prism buried deep in the Earth's mantle. Its purpose wasn't destruction. It was realignment.
Realignment.
To phase shift the entire planet. Just a tiny fraction, but enough.
Enough to do what?
Sever Earth's connection to their dimensional transport network.
Yeah.
Make it invisible, unreachable to them.
The ultimate sacrifice. Planetary self-preservation by cutting ourselves off.
Exactly. Isolate ourselves to save ourselves. Acknowledging we couldn't win, only hide.
And the cost. Becoming invisible to the harvesters means invisible to everyone else, too. The rest of the galaxy.
That was the theory. Cut off. Alone. But potentially safe.
Yeah.
And then they triggered it. The final pulse.
And then silence. Fast forward, year 2083. What's Earth like?
Different, quieter skies, oceans healing, forests spreading. Cities are still there, but changed.
Changed how?
Using re-engineered harvester tech, actually, for clean energy. Super efficient solar power, adapted from salvaged alien principles. Humanity resourceful as ever.
And the lanterns, the prisms.
Offline. Silent monuments to a war that ended. Strangely.
Oh, but it leaves you with this huge question, doesn't it? This peace, this safety, came at what cost?
A profound one. What does safe even mean in this context? Was planetary isolation worth it? A decision made for us, not by us.
Severed from the cosmos. Alone.
Was it worth it? To preserve Earth, humanity, but lose our place in the wider universe. It makes you think about our role, doesn't it, in a universe that's clearly far bigger, stranger, and maybe more dangerous than we ever imagined. What does that silence from the stars mean now?